And welcome, folks, to the talk show, Let the Truth Be Told. I'm your host, Pastor David. And, folks, we're about to have a conversation regarding the death of the super protester, Miss Good, out in Minneapolis, and the shooting with ICE. And we're going to discuss some of the other things that's happening in Chicago. So if you ain't got nothing to do, call your friends and let them know you're listening to Let the Truth Be Told Radio. I'm your host, Pastor David. Let's begin. And welcome to the talk show, Let the Truth Be Told. I'm your host, Pastor David. And folks, first, let me give all praises to God and my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, for making it possible for me to be here. And I want to welcome everybody to the show. Well, folks, let me say this to you, to the American people and patriots across this country. This death of a super protester who is a paid protester, who has a background of doing what she does and what she gets paid for, is to cause protest and to create havoc. And those who create the most havoc get paid the most. Most is what I'm understanding on the job of a paid protester. Now, some of these protesters can take it over the edge. And the reason why I'm saying is, see, in 2020, when the drug addict that got killed named George Floyd, who was high on fentanyl, when he swallowed the fentanyl when the officers was about to arrest him, and yes, they did put a chokehold on him, but we found out that the drugs is what actually killed George Floyd. But 2020 was the year when the Somalis, Tim Walz, and they instituted the fraud that you see today. And here it is 5 or 6 years later, and this has been the largest fraud scheme in American history. But to the American people and patriots across this country, I want you to pay close attention to what I'm about to tell you. What we've seen and what is happening now is all under the Democratic leadership. This scheme was put in motion by Barack Obama, and I keep saying it and have to keep putting it back where it began because I saw it myself and you saw it too, but you didn't know what it was, like myself. But when he put this scheme together with the George Floyd riots, with the Black Lives Matter, with Antifa, that was the Democratic Party's arm, just like they did when they was the Dixiecrats, and they created the Ku Klux Klan to destroy Black Wall Street and the Black community. So here we are, we have a situation where the Democrats again are now trying to poison America because they got busted stealing. And so here, at this point in time, I want the American people to understand this. We have to stop it now. We have to end the playbook of every time the Democrats lose or they about to get exposed, they create a distraction. And this woman, Miss Good, is a distraction to create the Black Lives Matters under the ground who need to be named a terrorist group, and all the other Antifa fractions that splintered off who are still causing havoc in our cities. But nobody, and I mean nobody, should follow this and make a different side of it because of the fact that they're trying to cover up the scheme and all the money and taxpayer dollars they've stolen in the last 4 years. And saying that, let me bring my folks in. Hey, Randy.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Hey, how's it going?
Bink.
Howdy.
Guys, now, first of all, I want to get your thoughts on this before I play the video. I want to get your thoughts on this whole scenario because Miss Good was an agitator. And what we found out, she had been agitating this ICE group, trying to obstruct them from doing their job. And so this would explain a lot of things. But Doc, you up first. Go ahead.
Okay, well, from some of the investigation that I've done, apparently she was with a group called Ice Watch, and she was an Ice Watch warrior. That's what she was referred to as. And she was pretty much recruited by people that she met through her son's school. And on top of that, apparently the NAACP's Legal Defense Fund, actually, they had potential training affiliation with these Ice Watch warriors. So it's going to be interesting to see what the FBI uncovers during their investigation into who she is, who she was, what was going on with her, because her activism really didn't happen until she moved to Minneapolis. So is this an epicenter for agitation? I mean, it really comes back to seeing what's going to happen with that. And I feel it really sad that this person was indoctrinated to the point that they felt they were doing something righteous by putting themselves in harm's way with federal agents.
Your thoughts, Randy?
I agree. You know, it's sad that, you know, she had to die in this fashion, you know, leaving 3 children behind. But this speaks to a bigger problem that we have in America, is that people don't think about themselves or their families and the lives that they affect when they get involved with things like this. It's like, well, you know, my kids will be all right. You know, screw it. I'm gonna go out here and, you know, rally in the streets and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, no, I'm not gonna do that. You know, I have children to raise. I have a job. You know, these things. We don't think about these things anymore for some strange reason. And for her to, you know, be so active in this regard, it makes you wonder the state of affairs of the children and the other spouse that's, you know, involved in this. It's like how what's going on there with these kids? You know, what are their livelihood is like? Are they being indoctrinated? So do we have a next generation that's being brought up? Because we see these same trends overseas in the Middle East. You know, the radical Islam. You know, they are training their kids at 3 years old to shoot an AK-47, quite literally. You know, and so these are things that's happening in America, perhaps. So you know, it is what it is. You know, but these are things that we have to start thinking about as a society.
Dre?
In the previous administration, they brought over an estimated 20 million people into the country over a 4-year period. And now that ICE is enforcing it, people have been livid. And we have been watching over the last 6 months as ICE has ramped up and violence against them has ramped up. Like when you're talking about 800%, 900%, 1,000% in increase in altercations and attacks and violence, that's a problem. And it was only a matter of time before people and ICE officers start to get hurt. The ICE officer that was involved in this altercation is not sitting at home, he's sitting in a hospital. And everybody had multiple angles to see the same thing. Okay. We live in a digital age. Everybody saw mostly the same thing, but everybody has experienced it and talked about it in different ways. And I believe that people see what they want to see, because from what I've been seeing on social media, people have been questioning the training of the officers. Oh, because they're bringing in so many officers, these officers aren't trained. I don't think so, because if you're hitting at that kind of pinpoint accuracy, you went through some kind of training. I recently went through gun training, never shot a weapon really that much before, and I couldn't shoot versus anything. You know, they made it better for me as I got through. But to question the training, to question whether they use excessive force is ridiculous, considering what we have seen. I know we're going to get back into it, but I am really irritated about what's been happening because I see that they're trying to turn this lady into a martyr.
Yes.
And I don't think that we should even be talking about her, because at the same time as I can appreciate and be sorry that someone lost their life, I also believe if you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. And there have been people that have had altercations.
Yep, that's true, Dre.
That didn't do anything, that didn't obstruct them, that you know, did everything within the law, and they got hurt in some way or died. So you know, for her to put herself in that situation, you know, and now everyone's vilifying ICE, it just really upsets me. And I don't want her to see her put in the same category as George Floyd, because even in his situation, it's completely different.
Mr. Binky.
Right.
Yeah, well, you know, like everybody said, you know, we've got a governor, we've got a mayor of Minnesota that are at fault to start with. They've got a job and a duty to enforce the laws, keep the peace, and they're standing there. That Mayor Frey, whatever they call him, he's inciting this stuff because he disagrees with what's going on up there. That's not his. Look, that the job of ICE is they're doing the job the states gave to them long ago. And he's standing there encouraging these people by saying, oh, that ICE officer walked away with a hop. That's what he said this morning. The officer that shot the gal, he walked away with a hop. He told on TV, he told ICE, I want them to get the F out of our city. And he's standing there this morning with a group of what I want to call agitators and idiots. And I'm sorry, Minnesota, you people are in trouble, because just watching that this morning, that mayor standing there with those representatives behind him only show and exhibit that city and that state have got nothing but imbeciles working for you. So my opinion, that's my opinion. When a mayor stands up there and encourages violence and encourages people not to follow the law, that's the problem. He should, right now, not only is the investigation of what that incident happened, that mayor should be investigated. And if he ain't doing his job, he should be arrested. He's derelict of his duty. And if we keep allowing these politicians to get into a power position that they are in and do what they want, you might as well throw the rule of law away.
Well, you know what, Mr. All of you are definitely correct, because what I'm saying is this, and to Black Americans across the country, we don't need to get involved with this. Black people do not need to get involved with this thing, with this woman who was a domestic terrorist, who put herself in harm's way to get hurt, who was helping illegals who are here illegally, and they're using taxpayer dollars to do that. See, what the Democratic Party continues to try to do, and y'all Black folks, young, Black, old, whatever, you have to understand our situation. None of this is going to benefit the Black community. If you're watching the show, think about it. How are all of this rhetoric going to benefit the Black community? How is it going to create economics in our community? How is it going to stop the crime? How is it going to stop our children who don't know nothing? These are the things that the Black community need to be thinking about, because just it was when George Floyd in 2020 Black people, some kind of way, got themselves all involved with that. And at the end of the day, Black people had nothing but more rhetoric and more people invading our communities and more people coming in because the Somalis got to Minnesota in 2020. They've been in existence in that state for 5 years in power after George Floyd. And look what happened. And where we at, Black people? What do Black people have to say? We don't own our communities. We don't have jack. So we don't need to get involved with this. Your thoughts, Randy?
Yeah, thank you for that, Pascal, because you're absolutely right. We don't need to get involved in it because during the George Floyd riots, guess what happened? The looters, the rioters, and everybody else, they didn't go into suburbia. They went into the urban centers and they burned down apartment complexes and everything else. They attacked the Black community and said, "Oh, well, we're angry. We're angry." And it's like, okay, well, why'd you have to go to the Black neighborhood? there's a white gated community down the street. There's the Asian community down the street. Like, why you didn't hit them up? Like, why you just migrated over here? But besides that point, getting involved in the protesting and everything else outside of the Black community don't need to get involved. No American needs to get involved because it doesn't benefit America.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's the thing that they need to be thinking about. In Minneapolis, they face the same thing. That neighborhood where she got killed in, where ICE was at, you see the dilapidation in that neighborhood. Just
it was a Black community.
Yeah. And so those people out there, they're gonna get ready to riot and everything else, and you're gonna see only just a sprinkle of Black folks out there, but they're gonna be affected the most. And guess what? Nobody's gonna care because it's the Black community. And well, this neighborhood was already tore up, so it doesn't matter. That's gonna be the narrative next.
Man, you
mark
said
my word.
Your thoughts, Doc.
It's horrible. And Randy, thank you so much for bringing that up because it is very interesting. Like I said, the NAACP was involved in her training. What were you training her to do? She had apparently been allegedly following ICE around to the point where they recognized her. Then she barricaded their vehicles while they're trying to actually conduct a raid. Like, what are you teaching these people to do? And why are you teaching them to do it? On top of all this, hello, FBI, Attorney General, why aren't there more mass arrests for these groups tracking ICE? They're in violation of Title 18, Section 111. The mayor and the governor are in violation of Title 8, Section 1324. Like, we have federal laws on the books. I do not understand why people are not in handcuffs right now. What is it going to take? 3 more people dying, 3 more ICE agents dying until you shut this down. Like, for real. Like, no, I need Pam on her job. I need Pam. I'm not even going to call you by your last name, Pam. Look, do your job. Do your job because the American people have had it. Okay, we cannot go on like this with people thinking, "Oh, I can get involved in an ICE raid, and if I get injured, no, stop that. Stop it. You need to shut this down immediately."
Your thoughts, Dre?
Yeah, they were supposed to implement something called the HALO Act, where people could not be within a certain amount of feet of ICE within like a certain distance, so that they couldn't impede upon their operations. I don't know if people are ignoring that, but if they're ignoring it and that HALO Act was passed, then they need to be prosecuted. And what we're seeing is that we're not seeing any consequences for these groups that are harassing ICE everywhere. And Mr. Binky was just like, the mayor's involved and he's like firing up people to like, disrespect ICE. They're vilifying ICE everywhere. The masked men who are in unmarked cars. And you hear people say that. And it's not just in Minnesota, it's everywhere. All these blue cities are saying the same thing. And they're vilifying ICE. And people are just taking it upon themselves to put themselves in the fray to protect illegal immigrants against people who they think are evil. They're just doing their job.
I don't get it, though. I mean, the damn people are here illegally. That's the key word that everybody is missing.
Yep.
They breaking the law. I can tell you, Black people, just as an American citizen, if we break the law, we going to jail.
Immediately.
We're going to be before the judge. Mr. Binky, your thoughts?
Well, like I've been saying, is government seems to be able to do whatever they want. We created this country, we the people, to ensure a more perfect union and tranquility. What we were saying is government, you've got a job to do, and this is your rules. You do your job. And I want to bring up this Venezuela thing real quick, and because I'm going to twine this in. We've got mayors, we've got governors around this country in democratic states that want to do what they want to do with immigration laws. We just got done going through this Venezuela deal. Okay. I've been arguing with a lot of people. Okay. I understand that self-established president Maduro was a corrupt, was a criminal. He was a bad guy, and he needed to be dealt with. I don't disagree with that, but I disagree with what was done, because here's the excuse. Another president did this. Another president did that. Our government has got rules to follow for a reason. And they created this War Power Act. What that did is it went in and gave the president power to do something, right or wrong, and then account for it in 48 hours. They walked outside the Constitution through a law. They did this too in the National Emergency Act. It gives the president certain powers that are not in the Constitution. Again, what I'm getting at here is, if
a big argument.
No, I don't want an argument. I'm just giving my opinion here.
Right. No, you're spot on.
When you take a law and apply it to something, a power in that Constitution, you're altering the Constitution through a law. That is considering that Constitution as a living document now. Which
Correct.
means that you can change that Constitution through a law, an act, okay? This
Policy.
is what I'm trying to get across to people. We've got governors and mayors around here that don't want to enforce immigration laws because of the Supreme Court.
Now, I got a question for you.
Right.
Okay. So now check this out, guys, right? I understand what Mink is saying, because he missed the show on the Venezuela show, so he wanted to get that out there.
Yes. Yeah.
But let me say that this did not violate the Wars Act. It did not violate any of those acts by Congress, because this was a law enforcement situation. So he didn't have to worry about that. And there was a bounty put on Maduro's head by Joe Biden for $25 million, and they pumped it up to $50 million. So I applaud the president for going to get that money and then taking over, because that puts us in the driver's seat to be able to control our oil prices and help Venezuela country get back on track. So a lot of people was happy about that. But the constitutionality of it, let me say this, guys, and I want everybody to say something about it when I drop this out here. See, when we have people who didn't see, the country got tore up because the Democrats they was trying to replace the Constitution. Okay,
still are.
They okay.
Look, they willfully are.
So you making my point, because what President Trump is having to doing, he got to take the same steps that they took outside the Constitution to bring them back. You got what I'm saying?
So
you got to.
So what you're saying, Dave, is as long as another president did something outside the Constitution, another president and other presidents should be able to do it too.
But
Well,
they've
what
been
I'm
doing
saying,
it.
go ahead, Randy. Vicky knew he was gonna start something. Go ahead, Randy.
So the most, I would say, not the most earliest precedent, but the most, I guess you say, controversial precedent of a president going outside the Constitution to enforce the Constitution would be Abraham Lincoln with the Civil War. So,
Right.
To Binkie's point, yes, you would. Some presidents would have to step outside of their authority to bring back the authority, because
Yes.
you have to usurp. You have to usurp what was done to disrupt it in the
Yes.
first place,
Yeah.
and that may require thinking outside the box per se to do that. So I see your point, but I also see that there may be some kind of unconstitutional necessity to make it constitutional again in that regard. But to your other point about the War Powers Act, the War Powers Act is a unconstitutional act within itself, and so
Yes.
the simple fact that Congress created a special power for the president to do something that he's already authorized. Here's the funny thing. He's already authorized to do
Yes.
within the Congress.
He's the chief law enforcement officer of the country.
Be
Not only
careful.
that, but the chief, but
Careful,
he's also
Randy.
the chief. He's also the commander in chief of
Yes.
the Army and the Armed Forces, of the Armed Forces. So there's no need to create a War Powers Act if he already has the constitutional authority under Article 2 of the Constitution to be a commander in chief.
Read
It
that
will.
whole article, though, Randy.
Yes, yeah, I have.
But
And
it
that's
says he is only the commander in chief when called into action.
correct. That is correct.
Means
correct.
our legislators have got to declare a
war.
war.
But that,
Yes.
but
He's
to
not,
sustain what
wasn't
you're
war.
saying, Binky,
This wasn't war.
Yeah.
This isn't even a conflict.
this was a law
This
enforcement
isn't
act.
war. This is not a
was-
conflict.
Exactly. That's what I was trying to get you
Completely
to see.
outside of that jurisdiction.
Exactly.
he's not the
We are not
commander.
at war.
It was
Yeah.
a law enforcement action. That's what it was. I mean, so that's
Dr.
moot. The
Nichols-
Constitution is moot on this situation. That's done.
No, listen to Dr. Nichols, what she just said. We're
Say
not
again.
at war. We have
Right.
not declared a war since World War
No.
II.
No,
Anything
this
that
is
we
not
have
war.
done, Vietnam, Korean, Iraqi, Iran, has been done under a policing action under
Yeah.
the War Power
Conflict.
Act, and Randy
Correct.
said it. The
Yeah,
War
that's
Power
correct.
Act is unconstitutional. So
That is
a
correct.
president that can go and do what he wants to do, whether it's Trump, Bush, Obama, or whatever, is
So let me get this right,
outside
Binky.
authority.
So Binky,
Because they're doing
what-
it under the executive branch.
Yes.
but what I'm
Unilaterally
saying is
using the military branch.
what
Just
I'm saying is just like I was saying earlier, and let me say this. It's a scrapped idea because of the fact that it's a law enforcement action. And a law enforcement action don't have to ask Congress to do diddly squat to do what? They do what they did because let's be honest, okay? Because what they did was what they used was the 94 crime bill that Joe Biden enacted, and that's still in effect. So they did whatever they wanted to do under the law enforcement side. So the Constitution is irrelevant. Okay.
So
but-
to that point, Pastor, you're absolutely right. It was a law enforcement action. Yes, we're talking almost apples and oranges in a sense, because
Yes.
with the War Powers Act, the president has the quote unquote here the authority to do limited military action and then
Right.
brief Congress after the fact. With the execution of a limited military action, you're creating the conditions to create war or a declaration of war by another country, and that within itself is unconstitutional because you can't set the conditions to declare war on somebody without the authority to declare war.
Exactly.
That's why we're saying that the War Powers Act is unconstitutional. So,
Randy, I got a question.
But
Randy,
Yes, sir.
But what made everything moot, the conversation moot, was the fact that this was a law enforcement.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and that
it's
killed
totally different.
everything.
That's why I
I've
said
got
it's
a
two different.
question for Mr. Binky and the panel.
Oh, yeah, go ahead, Dre.
But Dre, Mr. Biggie had a question for me.
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
Go ahead, Big.
real quick.
Yeah.
When Trump went over and got Maduro, how was that action taken? What was done to capture Maduro?
The same
Special
stuff
forces.
that they. Let me answer for you and put it in a nutshell. They used the same tactics they used to catch black black dope dealers in Chicago. That's what it was.
They used
Same actions.
military
Go ahead,
act
Dre, your questions.
Yeah, he used military operations. Yeah.
that
But
is
they were
a-
special
But it
ops.
was in conjunction with the DEA.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
the DEA
Right.
was also on the
Yeah.
ground, and there were other organizations
CIA,
along with our
Yes.
special
CIA
forces.
and all that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It was all special forces, which fall outside of military environment. They do.
some degree.
They're not of the
right,
branches.
to-
They are a special militarized force,
Exactly.
but they don't
Right.
fall
Yes,
under the
to-
military.
to a large
They
degree,
report
yeah.
directly to the president.
the one big thing we're missing right here. Where is Venezuela? Is that within the United States borders? So we have got
It's within the hemisphere.
we
it's
have
within
got
the
The Western Hemisphere.
we've got, but our Constitution only applies within the borders of the United States.
Well,
Within our
that's going to have to be
hemisphere.
another show, guys. We got to
within
continue
our
on with the show
hemisphere.
that we're doing,
Yeah.
Mr. Binky.
And that's what I
So
Within our hemisphere.
I'll let you throw that in there, and you did what you did. So you got that out. Now go ahead, Dre.
So before we completely move on from this subject, I have a question about, and then maybe I'm like a little bit more of a conspiracy theorist on this, but this so-called New World Order and the move toward globalism.
Mhm.
Now, with the buildup of Iran and China into South America, if the president were to go to Congress and just kind of sit back and let them continue to build that up, you know, we might be in a very bad situation right now. And also Maduro is closely working with Russia. So they are building influence there.
Mhm.
And this move really sent a signal to the rest of them,
Yes.
don't play with us. So when we're talking about the interests of America and the president being able to take limited actions, what are your thoughts about that, Mr. Binky? Because as we're talking about the Constitution and it being violated, and we're looking at this buildup of globalization and the BRICS economy. Don't forget that South America is very included in the BRICS economy, which is competing with the dollar. So when it comes to American interests and the president being able to take like specific short-term military actions, what are your thoughts about that? Is it something that we could have avoided in going to Congress and trying to work it out? Or do you think that maybe this one-time action was something that needed to be done?
Well, first of all, what was our federal government created for? It was created to take care of foreign affairs. The United Nations was created to take care of the global security, basically, is when it started, because it started right after World War I was over with.
Mm-hmm.
So what we've got is we've got a government that was created to deal with foreign affairs. So Venezuela or Cuba or Iran and all, this is all foreign affairs.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we created the United Nations for, is to take care of global conflicts. So my opinion
Right.
is that we are not the rulers of the world, nor are we the police for the world. We created foreign affairs. We created the United Nations, and that's the appropriate steps to go. So other countries don't look at us as enemies because we've came and invaded their countries. And that's what the Middle East, all our wars over in Iran and Iraq, our soldiers have been sniped, shot down, blowed up because they don't want us involved in their affairs.
But we got to table that because, and let me say this, because it doesn't matter from this point, because it was a law enforcement action. So all of that is speculation of what's to happen. That's speculation. So let us move on down in here and get back to Minnesota, where let me play this clip so we can talk about that.
No, don't apologize. It's a good conversation.
But it ain't the place for it. We doing something else.
Here's the thing. At the end of this rainbow, it still ties into globalism, and that is why we're here with the nonsense we have going on in Minnesota.
Yes, and it does, because it just shows you the corruption that the country is in. You know, this whole thing in Minnesota with the riots now that they want to try to purvey is just a cover up for what happened. And so I don't feel any kind of way, guys. When I look at this thing, I look at it through the eyes of an American citizen saying that if I was that officer and somebody tried to run me over, I would take the same actions. Check it out.
No! No! Shame! Shame! Oh my f***ing God! What the fuck? What the fuck?
Dramatic video purportedly shows the moment an ICE agent fatally opened fire on a woman in Minneapolis, who DHS says attempted to barrel her SUV into the path of an officer. As multiple angles of the incident have emerged and gone viral across the internet, users are left divided on whether or not the agent's actions were reckless or in self-defense. In the footage, ICE officers order the driver out of the vehicle after she blocked the path of their truck. But as one of the agents attempts to open the door, she quickly throws the car into reverse before trying to speed forward in the direction of another agent in her path. After the vehicle narrowly misses the agent, he fires 3 shots before the car crashes into a white sedan parked nearby on the side of the street. Hundreds of protesters have gathered at the scene, which the city of Minneapolis has identified as the intersection of East 34th Street and Portland Avenue.
This is f***ing ridiculous! You don't protect people!
In the wake of the viral incident, Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem described the officers' actions as defensive and called the incident an act of domestic terrorism during a press conference.
It was an act of domestic terrorism. What happened was our ICE officers were out in an enforcement action. They got stuck in the snow because of the adverse weather that is in Minneapolis. They were attempting to push out their vehicle, and a woman attacked them and those surrounding them and attempted to run them over and ram them with her vehicle. An officer of ours acted quickly and defensively shot to protect himself and the people around him. And my understanding is that she was hit and is deceased.
Democratic Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey, however, furiously denounced this narrative in a passionate press conference of his own.
They are already trying to spin this as an action of self-defense. Having seen the video of myself, I want to tell everybody directly, that is bullshit, and I have a message for ICE. To ICE, get the out of Minneapolis.
DHS Assistant Secretary for Public Affairs Tricia McLaughlin said in a statement, "This is an evolving situation, and we will give the public more information as soon as it becomes available."
Okay, Randy, your thoughts?
Well, you know, when you have a vehicle and you're in adverse weather conditions, it tends to be slippery outside. So the ICE agent that was out there in front of that vehicle, it seemed like he slipped a little bit, and as she was getting ready to like turn into his direction. So it could be speculated that he was trying to get out the way, knowing that she was about to speed off, or it's as simple as this: she shouldn't have been in that intersection, interdicting in our operations, and she was told to stop and get out the vehicle. And you heard the woman in the background screaming no before everything went down. So that's the thing. That's the thing. A lot of people are missing too, is that she started screaming because she knew that some trouble was about to happen on the other side of that vehicle, in front of that vehicle. That officer already had pulled his gun at that point. And when you see the other angle of that video, you will see that information. So she already knew that she was doomed from the get-go. So that it is what it is.
Your thoughts, Mink?
Me?
Yeah.
I always go last. Well, you know, I don't know what he's complaining. I don't know what he's complaining.
Well, I'm an equal opportunity employer, okay?
Yeah, but I'm the minority here, so let's
No, you're not. No, you're not. You don't get to play that card. My great-great-grandfather's Irish.
You know, he played the race card.
You don't get to do that.
I'm going to allow it. He is the minority on this panel.
Well, you know, that's why I wanted to get him involved, get him early up on the stage. You know what I'm saying?
You know, this mayor's complaining about all this. This stuff goes on every day in America. People are driving their cars on these roads and they're getting stopped by the police and they're given orders to do this and that. And we've got our own Americans being shot on a daily basis here by police over traffic stops and everything else. Mm-hmm. This lady here was deliberately asking for problems. She got the problems. And now you got this mayor crying about something happening to somebody who asked for it.
That's her problem.
I can't say it. You know, she created her own problems. Now, if this is what they want to call excessive force, start dealing with it around the country, because we got to live with this stuff every day, and it don't involve ICE. It involves our lawmakers, our police, and innocent people out here that are unarmed that are being shot because they've refused to take an order, or they pull away, or didn't do something they were told. Come on, this mayor's an idiot.
Your thoughts, Dre?
I'm going to do like a public service announcement here. You don't win against law enforcement on the street. If you're going to fight law enforcement, you need to do it in the courts. And these people that are protesting ICE, they believe that they have the law on their side, that these people are so evil. Take it into the courtroom. Like, you shouldn't put your life on the line by disobeying an officer's demands. And when you do that, you put yourself in a situation where you can be hurt or ultimately killed. And it's unfortunate that she didn't listen to the commands. But I have a question for you, Randy, just real quick, because I couldn't really see it from that angle. So did the officer that almost got hit, did he shoot, or was it one of his comrades that shot?
The one that was in. So when you look at the footage from the other angle, there's an officer in the front of the, like, dead center of the car.
Right.
He's the one who shot.
Okay,
got it. You see the bullet through the windshield.
Right. That's a defensive move. And in my assessment, from what I saw from the video, I just wanted to make sure that I was correct on what I saw.
Yeah. Now, the one that was grabbing the door handle, the one that was trying to grab the door handle, he drew his weapon as she was turning, but he didn't. I don't think he fired any rounds. But the one in the front, he's the one who shot the 3 rounds.
And he's the one that should have shot. Now, let's say he didn't shoot. He decided that he's just going to move out of the way and didn't shoot. Now, there's snow on the ground, and there's a crowd around him. So let's say she tries to speed off. She gets out, loses control, and then the rest of the protesters actually get hurt. Then that police officer, that ICE officer, is just going to be like, well, they're going to question him as to whether he did his job, because at that time, you're supposed to also protect yourself, but also protect the people around.
Yeah.
So,
exactly. To that point, Andre, this is how I would look at that situation. If he would have got out the way and let that car go, and the car spun out of control and hit the crowd, I'd be like, well, there's Darwinism right there. Took out all the rest of the protesters. Next, and kept it moving.
Right. Your thoughts,
they would have been mad about that. Yeah, you
would have been mad.
Your thoughts, Doc?
And it could have put some innocent people that weren't involved.
Yeah, but with all of this, but with all of this, we got to remember that the NAACP, they have a legal defense fund that this woman was a part of. Meaning, when Randy talked about, they get them in the courts, they already have a legal defense fund set up. So if these individuals are apprehended or arrested, they can get out on bail. They've already got the money set up. So what I'm saying is, this is a well-coordinated effort that is an anti-ICE effort. Here's the problem. You are actually putting regular citizens, because these people, they really think that they're doing something righteous, and you're putting them in harm's way. This is not a game. This is too many people are losing their lives or going to continue to lose their lives. And this is back on the governor and the mayor, because the individuals that ICE are out on the streets in the neighborhood, Tom Homan already talked about this, that they're apprehending. You're putting the public, the general public, at risk. This is your fault. This falls at your feet, governors and mayors, council members, whomever. You're responsible because you already had this person apprehended, and you
Guys,
should
I'm gonna
put them straight to ICE. They should have not ever been put back in the community.
Yeah.
So
I want to play.
One question real
Go
quick.
ahead.
I have one question. I wonder how come the NAACP is not using this legal defense fund to defend those innocent men and women who are locked up in these prisons around the country. They're instead funding protesters and funding terrorism.
Well, you know what, man? I'm so glad that you said that, Randy, because we just celebrated J6.
Because they're not Black Americans, they are not Negroes, and that is not what they are.
And so when every Friday and Sunday I get calls from the men in prison across the country, man. They already got C numbers and they're rotting away in the jails. Organizations like the NAACP, the pastors across this country, they should be involved with some kind of a unity to be able to request that our men and women get out of these prisons. Mm-hmm. So, you know, those are things that we should be worried about. And yet that's why I'm telling the Black community, we need to stay completely away from this foolishness, what's going on in Minnesota, because just like you said, guys, the governor and the mayor are under investigation for fraud. So they're using their powers to the last thing to try to get people involved to go out and create ruckus on ICE when they're the criminals that are about to be arrested and should be put in prison for all the money that taxpayer dollars they done stole.
Distractions.
Go ahead, Binky. Yeah.
All this is distraction from the real problem. And again, you know, we've been saying this for a long time. The ones that should be held accountable aren't being held accountable.
This is what Tom Homan said.
J6 now. It's 5 years.
Tom Homan delivers a brutal message to Tim Walz on live TV.
Well, first of all, the operation, I'm extremely happy. And this should come as no surprise to the American people.
Yeah, damn right!
You and I spoke months ago. I made a promise that we will flood the zone of every sanctuary city in this country as bringing thousands of more agents, 10,000 more agents because of the big, beautiful bill. Why Minneapolis? Why are they being prioritized right now? Because billions of dollars fraud has been uncovered. And what they need to be concerned with, Tim Walz says he's not going anywhere. Well, either am I. Either is President Trump. Either is Pam Bondi. Either is Kristi Noem. So we're there because of the priority census, right? But that show is going on the road. So if the Democrats are having a fit now, you better get counseling because this is about to get a hell of a lot bigger and throughout this nation. That show is going on the road. I actually think Minneapolis is the tip of the iceberg.
Nice.
I think we're going to find a hell of a lot more in Illinois, New York, California. We'll see. But this operation will go nationwide. We're going to keep our promise. And because President Trump is sitting in the Oval Office, every American can put their head on the pillow tonight, knowing the Border Patrol is on that border, stopping all threats coming across. Most secure border in history of this nation.
Yes! That's awesome.
ICE agents and FBI agents are working 24/7, 365, every hour of every day, taking public safety threats and national security threats off our streets. Sleep well, America, because we're keeping America safer. So we're doing exactly Minnesota what we're going to do nationwide, which you and I talked about, Sean. We're keeping President Trump's promise to American people to make this country safe again, one city at a time, one criminal alien at a time.
Your thoughts, Randy?
He said it all, you know, and this is the thing, you know, we have what I don't get. What I don't understand is why is it that you have these elected officials who swore oath to to protect, defend, and uphold the Constitution? They want to openly and blatantly violate the Constitution to protect illegal immigration or illegal immigrants. They want to usurp our laws and everything else. They don't want to enforce our laws. But they're not getting in trouble. They got qualified immunity because they're an elected official. If I guarantee you, if you remove that qualified immunity off the books for elected officials, they will act right. They know that they're going to jail. They can go to jail behind the stuff that they're doing. The country will turn around like that. But we see that's not going to happen because it's a grift. And
they actually don't have qualified immunity. They don't have it.
Yeah. Yeah,
They do
they
not
don't. I'll
have
say that.
qualified immunity. There is
That's
no
why,
statute in the Constitution. We're allowing this nonsense. No, stop
exactly.
that. We are enabling bad behavior. That's
I
all
agree.
this is.
Yes.
We are a
Yes.
bad wife and we have a horrible husband, and it needs to stop. Okay, we're abused people.
How is it? How does government consider themselves having immunity? Period. Aren't they public servants?
I agree, 100%. Yes.
They shouldn't have it. There shouldn't be.
They don't.
Even a judge.
They don't have it.
They don't.
They don't have it. We need to be like Iceland. They never don't have it. This is allowed. We are allowing and enabling bad behavior. That's all this is about. This is all this has been about. We are human beings. We are complete codependents, and we are allowing bad behavior. It needs to stop.
I agree.
You know, that's the whole thing. That's the whole thing, guys. That's what's happening in the country today, because we're allowing organizations like the one that Miss Good belonged to be able to come out and all day. What I heard was she'd been following them all day, you know, doing stuff, agitating. That was her job. Like I said, she probably got, they probably gave her $1 million for her death, because, you know, they do sign some clauses, I heard, that if something should happen to them, their family is just taken care of. So, I mean, she did her job. I mean, she picked door number 3 and got the prize. You know what I'm saying? But I'm saying it because nobody should die. You don't want nobody to die. You never want to see anybody die. But, you know, in their mind, they think that they're in a war and that they have to lay their life down for a cause. For me, that doesn't mean anything.
Well, you also got the media out there, Dave. You got the media out there. Media's sitting there promoting all this and what Walz and that Frey and all these Democrats. They're basically the media is promoting you to not enforce the laws, to do what you want to do. And people are saying, oh, okay, well, that's okay. So now the court of public opinion is we don't have to follow the rules, you know? Yep. So I'm going to jump on the bandwagon of the people I agree with, right or wrong. And now it being out in public and these kids seeing it and stuff, they're getting more mixed up than ever.
Well, I want the viewers to really stay focused on what I'm about to show you now, because just like you said, the mayor, Tim Walz, and a bunch of them are so involved. They're so involved with this thing that people are trying to distract you away from the real problem, and that's the fraud going on in Minneapolis.
I'm Christina Owayo in Dallas, and here are your top stories.
A Minnesota auditor has confirmed that Tim Walz's DHS fabricated records, did not verify grant recipients of over $425 million, enabling massive fraud, then tried to cover their tracks. The audit investigated the handling of that $425 million given out to 830 recipients, 590 of them being NGOs, between July of 2022 and December 2024 for mental health and addiction programs. Critics are now pointing to the multiple fraud schemes that have taken place under Tim Walz's leadership, including Medicaid, housing, autism, food programs, child care centers, adult daycare centers, and now mental health and substance abuse programs. Auditors concluded that DHS, quote, did not comply with most requirements we tested and did not have adequate internal controls over grant funds, and repeated prior warnings from 2021 and 2024 audits that pointed out the same negligence. This pattern of repeated fraud under Walz's watch has conservatives accusing Walz of either creating a culture of unaccountability in a state government or being part of the fraud himself, making him criminally liable. Here are some facts from the audit. Millions of dollars were sent out the door in grants without making proper checks into who was receiving them. The auditors found a grantee that was paid $672,000 for 1 month of work without any information on what type of work they were doing or if it was even done. The grant manager who paid that money left DHS a couple of days later and became a paid consultant for that company. During the audit, multiple DHS managers tried to cover their tracks by backdating or creating new documents. DHS staff could not prove they completed the required monitoring visits to parties receiving money, with most conducted remotely rather than in person. When auditors did perform on-site checks, they uncovered quote-unquote serious concerns. More than half of the grant agreements reviewed had missing or past due progress reports. However, payments continued to be made, and the agency sent out the money before grant agreements were complete, violating state policy and leading to overpayments.
That's what you need to know.
Your thoughts, Doc?
I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. Really? Really? Everybody needs to be in prison. Everybody. Look, the fraud's been going on in Minnesota since 2009. It didn't really pop off noticeably till 2020 because that's when we were going through the whole, issue
COVID
with
thing,
medical situations.
Yes,
And everybody was like, "Ooh, cookie jar wide open. Let's go. Let's go." I mean, it was pedal to the metal. But Minnesota, I mean, they're small potatoes compared to California. California, $78 billion can't find the money. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's everywhere, but it's obvious in Minnesota and they can no longer hide it. I think that's where we're really at.
Your thoughts, Dre?
Yeah, and from just hearing the report that you just put up, it seems like some of the auditors are in on it. So it's all a fraud wheel, and they're all giving each other kickbacks, and COVID didn't make it easier. Yeah, exactly. It's internal. And we're finding out because
somebody on the inside was pushing the button. Like I've been saying, this is an inside job.
Yes, it is.
Absolutely. But now we have an administration that is looking at this stuff and they can't hide it anymore. And the whistleblowers have come out and we're following up and we're uncovering a huge amount of fraud. So it's just amazing what we're seeing right now.
Bink?
Well, I'm going to harp on it again. This is a problem of government growing too big and doing stuff they shouldn't be doing. And now they've got program after program out there. According to Senator Kennedy down there, they were sitting there for health care. They would go to somebody and say, "Well, do you got a kid with autism?" Well, no. Well, just answer yes, and I'll give you part of the money we can get. Or is there somebody in your household that's hungry? Well, well, answer yes, and we'll give you part of this. See, these are programs, and I'm not saying they're all bad, but they're subject to fraud. They're subject to fraud.
There's no guardrails at all, Randy. What do you think?
So we've got to make better criteria of any policies or programs that's going to help people. First of all, not make them permanent. They've got to be temporary. We've got to be able to put controls on how much is going out and where it's going. That's our money. That's our taxpayer money. And we're constantly paying more and more and more.
Yeah, these are federal dollars.
Yes, exactly. I mean, that's the sad part about it, man. Bink, you're so right, because I don't think that the American people and patriots should be looking at all the money that's being spent everywhere else, and the American taxpayers who footing the bill on everything is not getting a dime.
And it's not a free program.
Not getting a dime. I mean, this is why I'm saying to the Black community is we don't need to be a part of none of this foolishness. We need to be focusing on ways, now that we know that they have money, the government have money, ain't no more. We need to be uniting ourselves and saying, guess what? Here we are. We the new migrants. Pay us what you owe and for how we built this country, and let us get on our way in our own communities. I think that's what the Black community need to be uniting right now, because if they don't, after this is over with and then Trump don't get back in, it's over, buddy. Now, folks, I'm gonna play this. Go ahead, Randy. Go ahead. You got it.
I would say with California having 78 billion, Minnesota somewhere in the nines or double digits of billions. Y'all know that that's enough money to go into the counties, into the homeowners, to where they don't have to pay property taxes ever again. We need to push the property tax system in the United States, because the money is there. We see it. It's clear and evident that the money is there. And people that want to buy land and whatnot, it should be interest-free loans. It should be these, ladies and gentlemen, you are being screwed. And if you're not talking this language to your elected officials, saying, no, y'all got the money, you want to raise taxes, y'all got the money, y'all figure it out, get into the budget for next year before you approve your budget and make it happen. That's what we need to be demanding.
Right,
to
but
these,
get
these,
rid of
idiots.
the people that shouldn't be here. Get rid of the people that shouldn't be here. Period.
That's right.
You got to get them up off the soil and off the dole. We literally have people here illegally that have permanent disability, lifetime disability,
and they're still not
cut
citizens. Exactly.
This fraud they're talking about right now between California and Minnesota, what time period are we talking here? Is this the last couple of years, 3 years?
So with California, it dates back, I want to
7
say,
years, I
to the early 2000s, because it includes the rail system. So you got 16 billion there, and then you've got another like maybe 30 or 40 billion that they put towards the homeless population and situation. So that's of the $78 billion that it's unaccounted for.
Right.
And they just can't even find it. They don't even know what they did with the money. $78 billion. This is outside of any other fraud. There's just that.
Okay. That's what I wanted to find out.
Yeah, I think I got a piece on that, and they're talking about that money was supposed to go to the homeless, and they said it's about $70 billion that is unaccounted for in California right now. But you know what? They need to do the same thing. Remember, that's what we've been talking about this whole time, guys, about how that type of information and that type of investigation need to be done in Illinois. I guarantee you that what they've seen and what Tom said, Illinois is on the chopping block too. So it's just a matter of time. They're looking at these sanctuary cities because now they know the pattern of fraud. They know the pattern. They know what to look for, and they'll know how to react. Now, guys.
Hey, David.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead. I was listening to Senator Kennedy. He got some numbers that he was talking about. He said in the last 50 years, our economy has grown 142%. In 50 years, the welfare program has grown 765%.
That makes
We
sense.
spend over $1 trillion. $1 trillion for all this stuff.
Yeah.
So,
and according to the 1996 Welfare Act, they're not even supposed to be receiving any of this aid at all.
Exactly. They're not citizens.
Even if they were here legally, they're not supposed to receive it.
Really?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes. They are not supposed to receive a dime. No, nothing. Nothing.
Yes. Wow. Now, guys, now we've talked about Minnesota, I want to talk about Chicago for a second. I want to play this clip. This past week, you know, we've talked about Brandon Johnson and how the black leadership voted for Brandon, how the pastors got all together. Brandon promised them money, and once they got the money, you know, they got Brandon in. So what sense does it make now that he has accepted all these migrants, saying y'all been sharing the migrant money and all that other stuff? What is it now that all of a sudden, since the federal money got cut off, now Brandon got to raise the taxes? So the black pastors who supported him for office now is crying about the taxes that went up in their communities over 100 and some percent. Let me put this video up, guys. I just can't believe it. We can't make this stuff up for real, man. This is true, man. And now they blame Trump.
West Side. Pastors and homeowners there say they're being hit with property tax increases so steep they could push families out of their homes. Bills have doubled, even tripled, with the West Garfield Park neighborhood seeing a 133% spike. NBC5's Christian Farr has their story.
I've had to go out and hustle, put my life on the line, drive an Uber just to pay my property tax.
Many Westside residents and clergy gathered outside of the Cook County Assessor's office to express outrage after their property tax bills skyrocketed. Business owner Malcolm Crawford said his bill more than doubled.
It's just a few bills that I got, and this one is $11,000. This one is $12,000. The other ones are $7,000, and I have more. And with these, and I'm supposed to come up with this money by the 15th. You have
the poorest people in the poorest neighborhoods with the largest increase.
The Reverend Marshall Hatch and others say communities like West Garfield Park face a 133% increase in their property taxes. Last month, the Cook County Treasurer's Office confirmed that this would be the largest property tax increase in 30 years.
We are just as upset and believe that it's unjust that the Board of Review continues to shift on the burden.
Okay, guys, your thoughts on that? You up, Doc?
Well, look, you put in a socialist. What did you think was going to happen? What did you think was going to happen? Of course, they're going to tax the people that they say are rich, but that's not what happens. They actually tax the middle class. And they're giving all of your money to illegal people. They got to keep this grift going, and they have to put the burden on you. You're going to be responsible for this. This is what Mamdani is going to do in New York. Oh, this isn't going to stop. The Democratic Socialists have told you they are alive and well in America. Are you going to put up with it? That's my question. Are you going to continue to vote for this America? Look, Illinois, wake up.
Dre?
I don't know what they thought was going to happen when they spent all that money on illegal aliens. And when the gravy train ran out, they were like, well, Brandon's got our back. I wonder how many people that are complaining with all those tax bills, how many of them voted for Brandon Johnson? How many of those pastors were
all of them
when they were getting all the government money from serving the illegal aliens? And now that gravy train has ended, they have all these complaints. This is what happens when you let mass immigration run rampant in your state. Eventually those funds are going to run out and Americans suffer. It's not the illegal aliens that are paying these taxes. It's Americans.
Yeah.
Yep, I'm gonna play this clip because they went to Trump Tower, man.
Chicago's West Side.
I cannot believe that they went to Trump Tower, man. Here, listen to this.
And so clearly, Donald
Trump. Wait, you gotta listen to this.
Skyrocketed.
Clearly, Donald Trump. What?
Business owner
Clearly,
Malcolm
it's Donald Trump. It
said
can't be
his bill
branded.
more than doubled.
It's just a few bills that I got.
Now this is
We blaming Donald Trump too.
11,000. This one is 12,000. The other ones are 7,000, and I have more.
They acting like they're at church. Like, come on with it, bro.
By the 15th,
you have the poorest people in the poorest neighborhoods with the largest increase.
The Reverend Marshall Hatch and others say communities like West
33% increase.
Property tax hikes. They're calling those hikes a modern-day land grab that's devastating the west and south side.
That's what I was
They
about
met
to touch
Trump
on.
Tower because they say that building's property taxes were reduced, while people living in West Garfield Park in North Lawndale saw their taxes go up as high as 133%. They are condemning the Cook County assessor and the Board of Review.
How do you blame
targeted
Trump for
property
it?
tax hikes on poor and working class families.
But they're going
Faith
to
leaders
put
say this
people
is
out
a
so they can
moral
put the illegals
crisis,
in.
not just a financial problem, and they
exactly
will
what I was
not
gonna
back
touch
down.
on.
Because for those of us in places like West Garfield Park with 133% increase, Lawndale with a 99% increase.
That's Jesse Jackson's woman over there.
With an 80%
That's
increase,
Hyde, Jeanette Wilson.
and a 39% reduction for Donald Trump. And so clearly, Donald Trump gets the tax break, and on the west side, we get the tax bill.
Poor residents on the west side and south side have been targeted.
You voted for this.
Unfortunately, this is a blue state, and many of us have supported these elected officials.
The religious leaders point the finger at the Cook County Assessor's Office and the County Board of Review for giving places like Trump Tower a break. Now, the Cook County Assessor, Fritz Kagi, responded with a statement pointing the finger elsewhere, saying, quote, these property tax increases hitting South and West Side homeowners are flat out unfair, and they're the direct result of huge cuts that the Board of Review commissioners gave to large corporations.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that.
No, it's not.
That's why
They are trying to pay for these illegals. Didn't Pritzker just pass like some $50 million
$2.5 billion for illegals.
Initiative for illegals.
to get
The money's gotta
education,
come from somewhere.
all of that,
Businesses
man.
are always going to get a tax break. You know why?
That's
Because they
right.
generate revenue.
Right.
People
But
don't.
think about the idiocy of it. Now you voted for Brandon Johnson. You went
Voted for
in
the-
and voted for him. You vetted him. You got money. Dre, your thoughts on these pastors? They ain't men of God for me.
They're pointing at Trump, but I know you guys remember that Brandon was saying after his failed budget didn't pass that the taxes were going to go up, and we're going to find creative ways, you know, and he got real creative and went to the poor people that he said he wasn't
And
going to
tax
tax.
them into oblivion.
Yeah.
Randy, what you
Tax them
think
into
about it?
oblivion.
So I have a direct I guess you'll say correlation or direct relationship with this situation in Chicago, because here in Austin, Texas, they did the exact same thing. We had a Proposition Q back in was it November, I want to say it was, and it failed, and it was a tax rate election, and it was trying to increase our taxes by 30%. And because we got out, the Democrats, Independents, and Republicans banded together. It was a beautiful sight to see. The American people of Austin, Texas, banded together and defeated that bill. You know what the city council did the next week? After that? They said, "Oh, that's cute. You want to vote down raising the property taxes? We're gonna cut EMS and police services. Have a good day." And so that's what they did. Now. And that was like I want to say it was somewhere in like the $7 million budget window. With that.
Right.
But back to the Chicago point, that pastor needs to be delicensed. He's an apostate, and he ought to be ashamed of himself to sit there and say that it's Donald Trump's fault that the property taxes got increased. You clearly don't know anything about how taxes work in your own city. But
Mr. Minky?
It's just crazy. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I put my life on the line to drive Uber.
well, in Chicago, that's
Chicago,
the thing.
yeah.
That's the thing, because you're letting in strangers in your car. You don't at all hours of the night. You don't know who's coming in.
You
could get robbed.
We live in a blue state. Excuse me. People, you're standing there admitting what the problem is.
Exactly.
So what else? And how did Trump get a reduction? Was it some sort of policy, a law, something that somebody created in that town, or what? Because that's how he would have got a reduction, would be something that happened in that city, wouldn't it? Because it was tax.
Businesses get tax breaks.
But
Steve, tax breaks, not residents.
But here's the thing, guys. Here's the thing.
They generate revenue.
I got you. I follow you.
The thing that they're missing, the thing that everybody's missing in that whole schematic there is that Trump Tower is a hotel.
Exactly.
And it's like, and he doesn't even own it. He doesn't even own it.
His name is on it.
His name is just on it. He doesn't even own the building. It's just like the one in DC. Everybody used to get up in an uproar about Trump Towers in DC. It's like
he don't
even
care.
own it. Yeah, his name is just on it. It's just a franchise thing. It's not even his name. He doesn't even own the property. So,
I got a question.
Go ahead.
Out of all them people who are standing there complaining, does anybody have a high school education?
I would hope.
I've never heard so many people complaining about stuff that they created.
Yeah.
You made this bed of nails. You gotta lay in it.
Now you don't want to get in it.
I was told when I was a kid, don't put anything in that light socket.
Exactly.
So what are they doing? They're sticking their finger or something in a light socket here, and finally going, what's going on?
Yeah. Well, I think that I can remember Hatch. He's been part of Brandon Johnson's campaign, and then Ira Acker, the guy that stood up and says, "Well, this is the blue state." When he realized what they were doing and how stupid that they looked, he made it even worse. because he admitted it. You know, this is a blue state, and we did support all of this.
Yeah, we do.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yep.
You did
Yep.
all of
Guys.
this to yourselves, and now you want to stand there and complain. But what are you going to do about it?
Nothing.
Who are you running in the
There's nothing
place
they can
of
do
these
now.
individuals? Because at this point, you're just grandstanding. What are you going to do? Beg for more money for your social programs that you're not actually going to put into the community that you say you're going to try to help and fix? Like the jig is up. The jig is up with the grifting.
It really is,
It's up.
because see, all of those pastors that standing out there, the church membership is down to nil, maybe 10 or 20 people.
Oh yeah.
Some of them got huge churches.
Nobody's because they ain't got money.
Nobody's putting money into these churches no more because they don't do anything. The guy Hatch has been around. He ain't nothing but they're all grifter pastors. They're all grifters. They don't do nothing in the community.
You know, Pastor Larry, real quick, you know, that the tax increases is a way of the land grab. They know that these people are going to get evicted. They won't be able to afford it, and they're going to take those properties, those banks. And guess what? When the banks get those properties, guess what they're going to do? They're going to reduce those property taxes. They're going to reduce the amount of those homes, and or
they're going to do is they're going to build those homes up. No, they're not going to demolish them. They're going to build them up, and then they're going to sell them for $500,000, and the black community will no longer have a place to call home. Because we'll be nomads. We'll be in everybody else's community trying to set up shop. And that's the point.
One more thing while
ahead,
we're talking about taxes. They're pointing the finger at Donald Trump's company that's not his company and pointing the finger at Trump. But wasn't it Donald Trump that said that he wanted to get rid of property taxes? Like they keep voting for the same people over and over again, and they come and now we see them complaining about it and pointing the finger at the person that wanted to like
get rid of it,
type of crap from happening.
Yeah, they blame the person who's on their side.
Right.
Like, he's like, I'm with you guys. Why y'all blaming me?
I want to get rid
Yeah,
of
we enable bad behavior. We're bad wives. We have a horrible husband. Okay, we need to stop it. The enabling needs to stop.
But you know what, guys? Now think about this. In the Bible, it's talking about the last days and times when men and women of God would have a reprobate mind.
Yep, a reprobate. Yep.
A reprobate mind, okay? That's what's happening to these pastors. They're totally delusional. How would you get up across the country in Chicago and complain about Donald Trump for the taxes that the mayor that you voted for, that you put into office, raised on you? It's a bad look, man. You know, we're going to get the city straightened out, man. But anyway, we got to get out of here. Your last words, Randy.
Hey, thank you all for the great discussion today. Had a great time. You can follow me on all socials at RPURHAM. And catch you all next week. And happy Red Friday. Thank you for the men and women who are serving our nation around the world, sacrificing and committing their time and their freedom and protecting our freedom, our constitutional way of life. We thank you and we salute you.
Dre?
I really enjoyed this discussion. Immigration policy matters. We're seeing that immigration plays a role in a lot of different areas. Instead of being mad at ICE, people need to redirect their frustration at Congress and push them to create long-term legislative immigration policies so that we don't have these pendulum swings from one administration to another.
All right, Dre. Have a good one. Doc?
Hey, thanks everybody for joining us here. And remember, if there are people in your area that are looking to be servants of the people and not politicians, please check out the Redemption Party at usaredemptionparty.com. That's usaredemptionparty.com.
And thank you. We are going to make sure we hook up with you, Doc. Mr. Binky, your last words.
The next time you hear somebody say that Trump or a Republican is trying to destroy our democracy, here's what I want you to look at. The threat to democracy is democracy. And when you listen to these people talking, especially like that group up in Chicago, That proves to you, that proves to you right there that you've got to be choosing better people that are out there creating laws for you. And every one of us on here are trying to lead you in the right direction.
Mr. Binky, I want to thank you for showing up on the show, man. We got to keep it going. Share it around when you get the link, brother. Blessings and have a good weekend. Folks, I want to thank you for tuning in to the show. Like I said, we try to bring the truth to you about the matters that's going on around the country. We break it down so that you can understand how you should think and how you should act. It works better when you know the truth. My last words to the American people, the patriots across this country. We see that our country has been infected from within. We see that the blue states have continued to try to cover up what they've done. They've stole millions and trillions of taxpayer dollars. And that's why they're fighting like hell to keep us, the American people, in the dark about what they're doing. But the Bible talks about what you do in the dark comes to the light, and the light is showing. The light is showing for New York, California, Minnesota, Illinois. It's just a matter of time before we get rid of these criminals and these bad pastors across the country so we can make this country great again. God bless you. Have a great weekend.